Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by James, Callum, and Alan. How you going, boys?
Yeah, not bad.
Doing all right, mate.
Doing all right, very
Not
good.
bad,
Alan's
mate.
practicing his best Bogan voice for when he goes on the car show later on. Got to appeal to your audience.
Actually, it's
Jokes,
true.
jokes.
No, we're having an Australian car special.
Oh,
Part
there you go.
so yeah, there you
Aussie
go.
cars from the 90s, mate.
All right, there you go.
Holden or Ford, mate.
Both.
Yeah.
They're all cars.
a bit more of a relaxed show this week. We're just doing a classic review roundtable. I guess I'll start things off.
Yeah. Start with movies.
Start with a movie. I watched Violent Night, the Christmas.
I had that on my list.
It's not great, but it's I guess an adult kind of action movie that we haven't seen in a little while. That kind of type of
Violent. It's in the title.
Violent kind of semi-gory, adult action movie,
Action comedy,
which I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Obviously, the writing was a bit kind of hit and miss.
Yeah.
Like it's a modern movie. It's
not
always
going to
gonna
be a Christmas
No.
classic or
No.
an action classic.
No, exactly. It's never going to be a classic. But it was kind of nice it was a nice break in what I normally would watch. Like as a Christmas movie and an action movie, it's like it's from a genre of movies that don't really exist anymore. Which I really appreciated. And taking all the Christmas stuff out of it, we still don't get the action, adult-orientated kind of films.
Other than John Wick, not
with
really.
real violence.
Yeah.
Other than like John Wick,
Yeah.
which is almost like a Marvel movie at this point. Like it's kind of got that, like a nice self-contained kind of movie. I liked it. The actors are good. It's a bit hammy, but like that's just the script. That's
the point.
That's the point. But
it was on my list because it's a 2022 movie, and I was going to watch it during my,
Your Odyssey.
Yeah. But I was like, no, it's a Christmas movie. I'll leave it for Christmas, so I'll watch it in December.
I'm trying to think of the actor's name.
David Harbour.
David Harbour, that's it.
Yeah.
The internet in the studio is a bit hit and miss at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
so Googling things is going to be a bit difficult during the show.
Yeah.
I
So
think
if I make
got-
mistakes, I apologise. But David Harbour, he's a good, kind of depressed, alcoholic, violent Father Christmas.
There was I'm going to watch this as well in December. There was that one with Mel Gibson. Do you remember Fat Man?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
watch.
I
I didn't
never
watch that
watched
one.
it, yeah.
I'm going to watch Fat Man and then watch Violent Night in December and like compare them.
Did you watch, speaking of Mel Gibson, another one I watched fairly recently, On the Line. Have you seen On the Line?
No, we talked about it because it's a radio station movie.
Did we talk about it on the show?
No, not on the show.
Yeah.
Me and you talked about off
Yeah.
air. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Mm.
It's not great again, but it's interesting.
Mm.
Mel Gibson obviously has a troubled past.
And we have
Maybe
He's still a good actor.
Still a good actor, but yeah, maybe
good
he finds
director.
has a little bit of issues finding good roles these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. Would recommend it.
Separate the art from the artist if you can.
Callum, you got any movies for the?
And if you don't, and don't support monetarily in certain situations.
Well,
Yeah.
so I haven't watched too many movies lately, which we'll get into why later in the show.
Sorry to cut you off there, Callum. So would that mean you're willing to see the Flash movie?
I'm going to watch it, but not at the cinema.
All right.
I'll wait for streaming. And I know it's going to be awful and I won't like it.
If you're desperate to go to the movies to see it, I'll go with you.
No, I'm not going. No way.
But I'll be using my Hoyt points for that ticket.
Yeah, no.
We were
I'm
trying
not.
to find. We were trying to
I'm
find
not-
a session to go see it with Alan, but I'm just like, but it's not my main priority.
Yeah, no, you
Yeah,
guys can
yeah.
go. I refuse to see that movie. Even if Ezra Miller was the greatest person in the world, it's going to be garbage. I don't want to watch it. But because they have got the added baggage of being a felon.
Which that's a whole weird saga that it really doesn't make sense to me. The person had warrants out for their arrest, and the studio flew them out to Hollywood for reshoot
Because they
And-
spent too much money on this
And they're just
stupid
like-
movie
they
that
technically-
doesn't even matter because they're rebooting the universe.
allegedly-
Theoretically, was the studio aiding and abetting a wanted criminal?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, fugitive, harboring fugitive.
Yeah,
Allegedly
technically-
harboring, yeah.
Allegedly, technically.
Warner Brothers, you're on
All
that.
I'm saying is if you have warrants open for your arrest and the studio knows where you are and they're flying you out to do reshoots, there's some legal questions around there.
allegedly.
Allegedly. The name of the episode, allegedly.
Anyway.
I know, yeah. We'll talk about if we ever do watch The Flash, then...
Oh, we're watching it.
So the
I'm
last
gonna be there in the cinema.
The last movies that I saw, I watched the Rush Hour trilogy back to back.
Nice.
Ah, man.
So good.
I mean, we've talked about before how much of a joy it is sometimes to watch movies from the 90s and the early 2000s, whatever, when films still looked like films, and, you know,
it can be more racist.
there's like no CG.
Yeah, you can get away with more.
There's no
risky jokes.
CG. It's all practical. It's people driving real cars, and there's real explosions, and it just looks awesome.
Well, you know, Nathan just said, you know, that kind of violent action comedy. But I mean, Rush Hour was never that violent, but it was.
But it's
the action was really good,
athletic,
and the comedy was.
You know
really
what I mean? It's
good.
athletic and it's real and it's not grounded, but it's stuntmen doing stunts in front of a camera.
Jackie Chan.
There's no green screen. It's trained professionals doing dangerous things. You know, for our entertainment, which is why I love Tom Cruise. But does Beau is Afraid count?
Yeah, we can. What do you mean it doesn't count?
Yeah,
You
no,
can
I
talk
mean,
about anything you want.
Well, yeah, we saw Beau is Afraid at the movies.
Yes.
The
Callum
new
and I
Ari Aster
went
film.
A couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
And that was a stressful one.
Yeah, it's anxiety inducing. It's similar to like I said it was like Synecdoche, New York on crack.
Yeah.
It's kind of like got Mother vibes where it's like anxiety inducing. You know, Uncut Gems where it's just like non-stop uncomfortableness and awkwardness.
The suffering does not. The main character's suffering does not stop from the beginning until the very end of the.
We were talking about after we got out of the cinema. It's not one of those movies where it starts normal and then gets crazy. It starts crazy and it just ups and up, and ramps up.
It's like, I don't know. Like it's like a weird mixture of,
it's Charlie
the game
Kaufman.
meets
the game
Charlie
meets
Kaufman.
Synecdoche. Meets Charlie Kaufman. It's very weird. It's very long. It's 3 hours.
3 hours of suffering, but it's so well shot. There are some scenes.
I liked it.
Yeah, there are some scenes which are so beautifully done. You know, like there's a scene towards, I guess, in the last third of the film where it becomes a kind of almost animated story. There's that little interlude. Where Beau, like, he kind of he gets involved in a storytelling process. And
and more stylized.
He loses himself in it, and it becomes this stylized, animated, beautiful thing. And then it's hilarious when he pulls himself out of it, and someone's like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
It's also, it's one of those movies that's so weird and crazy and stressful but also really funny in a kind of very dark way.
Like even though this is not a movie that's going to get Ari Aster any, like, it's not going to sell $500 million at the box office.
As soon as the credits rolled, we were like, we can see why it's divisive. Like, it's that kind of movie. It's a love it or hate it kind of.
Yeah, he hates his main character. You know, like, not hates him, but the world hates him.
The world hates him.
He oppresses him nonstop. So it's one of these things where he's not going to be. I mean, he should win awards for it, but he's not gonna win him as a seat at the MCU directors table. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
no, you know what I mean. It's like he's not that type of film.
It's like, because, you know, he had Hereditary and Midsommar. I thought Hereditary was okay. I didn't think it was as good as everyone was saying it was. But I loved Midsommar. Yeah. You know, especially the director's cut. And both those movies had a lot of violence and trauma and did a lot of awful things to the main characters. This movie, like, triples down on that. And I was like, when you watch Hereditary and Midsommar, you're like, oh, Ari Aster's got some stuff going on. Is he alright? When I watched Beau is Afraid, I was like, is he alright?
No.
Like, does he need help?
Yeah.
Like,
COVID did stuff to that man.
I don't know.
The lockdowns, it changed.
I don't know if it was that, but I was just kind of like, is he okay? Like, should we help him?
I don't think he is.
No.
And so that's pretty much all I got from movies.
Yeah. Alan, do you have anything?
Yes. I've been trying to watch The House of the Dragon. I'd actually.
That's a TV show.
We're only doing movies. All right,
we'll loop back to you.
I do want to watch.
We talked about Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
I do want to watch Puss in Boots. I saw a bit of a clip from that.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Like, that seems. I mean, like, DreamWorks doing, like, pushing it in that direction. I guess more. I don't want to call it adult, but more serious, almost.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Like the fact that he's taken on the wolf and the wolf's death.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You should definitely watch it. I watched it during my 2022 Odyssey, and it's as good as people are saying. And one of the reasons is when we talked about Spider-Verse, we're like, oh, the animation is so interesting and unique, and every other animated movie out right now is just your typical DreamWorks or Pixar 3D animated. And yeah, it looks nice, but you know,
not pushing the
it's
boundaries.
just Whereas Puss in Boots, they've definitely stylized it more. Like there are definitely moments where it's like, oh, they're really going full Spider-Verse anime kind of weird with it. And it's also it's a good movie.
Yeah. Do I need to watch the other two beforehand?
I hadn't seen the other Puss in Boots, so the Last Witch, this new one, I just watched that on its own and I was fine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try and give that a watch.
Definitely check it
Is it
out.
available on anything yet? Because I tried.
Yeah, it's on one of the streaming services. I can't remember where
It's
I watched
online.
I mean, that's always the case, but
it. Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's on. Who owns DreamWorks? Anyway, yeah, it is on one of the streamers. I'm sure I saw it.
very good.
That's how I watch
I'll
it.
give
On
that a
Amazon,
watch.
maybe. Anyway, yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Yeah.
All right, James, you got any films you've been watching
Oh,
recently? I mean, okay, the
Well, yeah.
notable films you've been watching recently?
Well, yeah, I haven't actually watched that many movies. Maybe less than I normally do. But I did go and watch Spider-Verse again.
As good the second time?
Yeah, we couldn't do an episode last week, but the episode before this, we reviewed Spider-Verse, and I said, like, I really want to see it again as soon as I can, and I went this weekend.
Did you pick up any new details?
Not really, it's just you get a bit of
Your brain can relax a little bit.
I was more relaxed. I
You
was
can take in some more
my
detail,
my mouth was less agape.
Was it
because I
as
could.
good the second time around?
Oh, 100%.
Probably
It's-
almost better because you're not worrying about missing anything.
Yeah,
You're like, you
and-
can take your time and you can notice.
And you can
the
see all the
background stuff,
foreshadowing and everything
Yeah,
people
yeah,
say at
yeah,
the
yeah.
start. You're like, oh, that's going to come up at the end. And everything, yeah, there's definitely that aspect to it.
You
but
can see the gentle development of jealousy of obviously Miles with Gwen and I forget what his name is.
Hobie.
Hobie. And then
Spider-Punk,
the quick development of Gwen's jealousy when Miles starts talking to
Spider-Bite.
Spider-Bite.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she like yanks him away. Yeah, that's what I see. Because normally those things where you focus on like more of the action stuff, not to miss anything there. There's some of the stuff that you might miss.
Especially with this movie where there's so much going on just visually, like in the background, and especially when they get to the Spider Society and there's like a million different spider people. Yeah, that's like a whole nother aspect to it. But yeah, I just wanted to say again how really like perfect that movie is across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the next one. Really, really excited.
It's going to be one of the best animated trilogies of all, superhero trilogies of all time.
Yeah.
Up
Just-
there with like Nolan's Batman trilogy.
Yeah. Potentially,
in some ways better.
Potentially
in some
even
ways.
better because,
Yeah.
like, as much as I'm a Nolan simp, like, I have problems with Batman Begins. I have problems with Dark Knight Rises. I like both of them, but whereas I don't like Into the Spider-Verse is 10 out of 10. Across the Spider-Verse is 10 out of 10. And if they pull off Beyond the Spider-Verse,
Well, they probably got more money than they had for Across. So
well, apparently, they had more money for this one than
Yeah,
they
that's
did
what I
last
mean,
one.
like-
And I assume they made them back to back because the next one's coming out next year. But I think it's doing very well. So
it's going gangbusters.
yeah, hopefully they won't have any problems
I'm just wondering.
doing what they want.
I almost wish we were back in the day when we used to get video game adaptations of some of these kinds of movies. You know what I mean? I want a video game version of like.
As crappy as most of those video game movie times were.
Spider-Man PS2 based on...
No, that was dope.
Great time.
Yeah. And
Great
Spider-Man
time.
2 was even good.
Historically, some of the Spider-Man video games have been top tier, all right?
Yeah. Even though there's a history of mostly bad, some good.
Yeah.
I like Spider-Verse proper game would be incredible, but
Especially with
I
the
think they would have
aesthetic.
to put the same amount of work in as they do in the movies. You know, stylize it and write the writing.
Yeah. It'd be hard.
Yeah, you can't just flop out a
No.
movie game to tie in with the
Yeah.
release.
It'll be
of
a phone game.
Like
exactly. That's all they do.
back in the day, like, was it one of the Harry Potter games had like 7 different versions for all the different
Oh,
consoles?
yeah.
yeah. They used to do that a lot.
Really quickly.
There was like where you had like Game Boy Color, Game
Game
Boy
Boy
Advance,
Advance,
yeah.
DS, GameCube, Wii, PS2.
Yeah, it's like, well, the movie comes out this day. You have to release it a month before. So just like
then you have the classic PS1 Hagrid.
What's the meme? PS1 Hagrid can't hurt you. PS1 Hagrid. It's like a close up of his face. It's like have you seen? It's the same meme, but it's the butler from PS1 Tomb Raider can't hurt you. The butler from and he's like this creepy old PS1 man chasing you around the house. And
yeah. So, any other movies of note?
No. I think that's it. If we do another review roundtable, I'll hopefully have watched some other.
Moving on to television.
Television. Here's where it's at.
Yeah. So me, Callum, and James have all finished watching Succession.
Yeah, what
best show on TV. Or was the best show on TV.
The best show on TV. I got the. We'll keep it spoiler free. I got the ending spoiled for me on Twitter, right?
As did everyone.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I watched it week to week.
Not just the ending, but there was also like key moments of the last season that got spoiled everywhere.
But the show is that good. It still didn't spoil anything for me because I was still interested in, like, even with the spoilers and stuff I saw, I was still interested in being like, well, that's interesting. I want to see how they get to that place. You know what I mean? Like, so
how do they pull it off?
I wasn't annoyed by. I wasn't annoyed by it.
When a show's that good or a movie's that good,
doesn't matter.
The spoilers don't matter. It is annoying that you don't have the same surprise or.
It was good. I have no complaints.
No, it's a perfect series of television. All 3 seasons.
So, you've never seen any Succession, have you?
I've seen one episode, and I'm not seeing what you guys have seen in
Sorry to interrupt.
Dude, no, you did say.
Well, it's funny.
You did say I have to watch at least 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I had to give it a proper run.
So it's funny.
Trust me when I tell you, it is the best show on TV.
Alan historically does not like Arrested Development.
Yes.
Because Arrested Development is is bad people.
Bad people hurting one poor guy.
4 seasons. I said 3. There's 4 seasons.
Now imagine a TV show
and Mike and Sarah having this weird
bad people, but it's not necessarily a comedy.
Yeah, imagine a show where it's all bad people, but it's a drama or a dramedy rather.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were talking about it where it's fascinating to watch these awful people do awful things. Sometimes they get away with it, sometimes they don't. Mostly they're just fine because they're super rich and it doesn't matter.
Interesting question.
But it's this Game of Thrones kind of thing where it's
like a business
Game of Thrones in the New York contemporary business world.
It's
interesting
awesome.
question for the homies in the room here. Who do you think the worst of the family is?
Roman. Is it even a question?
Yeah, Roman's pretty awful.
Oh, look, does Logan count?
No, Logan doesn't count. We're talking about the kids.
The 3 kids.
Oh, yeah. No, Roman, no question.
See, this is the weird thing. They all have redeeming qualities, but they're all awful.
So Kendall's done some terrible things, but he's also tried the hardest to find a redemption line.
Until the end where he straight up goes off the rails. I'm the eldest boy.
Without going into spoilers, I can't really talk about my feelings towards what Callum's saying.
Yeah.
Kendall doesn't want redemption. Kendall doesn't care. Kendall's a psychopath.
No, he's had his moments.
He wanted redemption until it got in the way of his being the boss.
He wanted redemption because he thought he'd get in trouble for something he did.
And it's the same with all the kids.
He's like, oh, I'm sorry because I'm in trouble. That's all Kendall is.
It's the same with all the kids.
Yeah.
Shiv is always like, oh, we need to fight fascism and go, get the damage. But she's willing to sacrifice that for her own personal gain.
Yeah.
So all of them are awful.
But come on, they're all awful. At least Roman is honest with his behavior.
That's all I was going to say. The man is like the epitome of the sleazy rich kid businessman.
Yeah. Roman for me is
and he's
the worst.
The one. This is not really spoiler, but minor spoiler. I won't say exactly what he says, but he's the one who figures them out at the end in that boardroom scene when they have the fight.
Oh yeah,
I won't repeat what he says, but he's the one who's like has a self-awareness. To say, you know,
the one I liked the least, and the one that grated me the most in the show was Shiv.
Why?
Because she pretends to be the nice person.
That's also true.
And then she'll turn around to her partner in the show, and she'll just be like, "I never loved you." And then she'll pretend to be nice, and it's like, I don't like.
But that's why her ending is perfect.
Yeah.
That's why the show, like everything that happens in the show
they
is
pay
perfect.
It off at the end, but
even though these people are super rich and will continue to just be fine.
Kendall thinks he's smart, but he's not. He's 2D. You know, everyone sort of. If you see Kendall and you know exactly
not serious people.
No, they are not.
As much as I hate Logan and he's an evil prick, he was right the whole time.
Yeah,
he didn't take them seriously from the beginning.
Kendall just wants to be his dad, right? Kendall's like ruthless. I'll do anything what it takes.
Yeah, he wants to be boss.
He wants to be the boss. Roman is the man-child.
Yeah,
Roman's the one who didn't get enough attention.
Playboy who can't play.
Yeah.
Can't get it up. He likes to play, but he can't get it up.
Essentially. And, you know, like, I feel sorry. Actually, no, the one I feel sorry for the most is probably Con.
But he got sort of the best ending, but then still sad. See, that's the thing. It's like the show is so good. It's like there's no black and white. It's all shades of grey.
Con's funny.
It's so fascinating to watch a show about awful people doing awful things.
Like I feel sorry for Con because he's the guy out of all of the family. He just wants to be, like, he wants power in his own right that's not necessarily from his name.
He just wanted to be rich and kind of
he's the most relatable.
Get his dad to be proud of him. Yeah.
He's the most relatable, you know what I mean?
Sometimes, but sometimes not.
I mean, Greg is the most relatable.
Oh, yeah, Greg is the most relatable.
See, this is fascinating. Greg, season 1, Greg, it's like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. That guy's
true.
me.
Yeah, no, but
season 4, and Greg is
Greg.
like, this guy is a piece of work.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but they all are. Like, they're all awful.
The best relationship in the show is Tom and Greg. 100%.
Yeah. They're disgusting brothers.
But they're also... They're the almost the audience surrogates of the show in this very specific way.
They do tend to witness.
They're the two characters that witness.
They are slight outsiders because they're not blood. Oh, Greg is technically blood, but
they don't consider him.
Yeah,
he's a Hirsch.
Greg is a Hirsch.
What is he?
Not a Roy.
What does he call them? The quartet?
Yeah,
is that what he says?
Yeah, quad.
The quad.
The problem with Greg as well is because he made some plays that maybe didn't. In early seasons, maybe didn't play off. He lost his share of the inheritance. They don't take him seriously. He has no money, right? He has no skin in the game. Without kind of his role, he's destitute because his grandfather.
So he has to play the game. He has to figure out the best way.
But him and Tom, they don't come from money. They might have money now, but then in a way they're the audience surrogates because they. Like, it's easy for the quad to lose because they're billionaires, right? Yeah. It's harder for Tom and Greg. They fight.
There's slightly higher stakes. Yeah. But
I like their relationship as the two outsiders.
Their dynamic is the funniest.
One of the scenes in the one of the scenes in the last few episodes of the show, no spoilers or anything, when Tom puts the sticker on his forehead.
Yeah, that was
just like 10 out of 10.
So good. Yeah. But that's the thing. This show, as awful as they are, and as horrible as the things that happen are, it's still really funny. Mostly darkly funny. Yeah. Sometimes just silly funny. But it's just so well done.
Well, also it has some great one-liners too, like the one we all love, at least me and Nathan love the most. You can't make a tomlet without breaking a few Gregs.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say one of the one-liners we like that we can't repeat on the air.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot.
Well, I think that's most of them actually.
I think Nathan's thinking of a season 1 line that we can't repeat on the air that I forgot about.
Or Logan's catchpage, which I say around the house all the time, just randomly, which I can't say. But yeah, like, just not only is the writing perfect and the cinematography and like the production music design, and the music perfect, but one of the reasons that HBO is still king. And I think I've talked about this before, I can't remember. One of the reasons they're still king is because not only is that stuff all good and the production is very expensive, but the cast, every little part is perfect. The one scene guy who walks on has one line and then leaves, amazing actor, like perfect casting. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of Netflix shows, some Amazon shows, you can't really say that.
No, you can't. Yeah.
HBO consistently, even like the HBO comedies like Silicon Valley, all the casting is spot on. I think Apple is the only one that comes close to both the quality over quantity, the production design being quite high, and also the casting being very good. Like Ted Lasso, every little cast member is perfect. So
And this show is a weird one because we compare it to Game of Thrones, but it's not action heavy. Most of all the episodes are set in like one interior, and it's just the writing.
It's the writing
Yeah.
that it's the instead of
Yeah.
physical violence, which
It-
sometimes
it's
there
le-
is.
it's legal and verbal
it's like verbal
violence.
violence. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're using the sword of the 21st century. which
Yeah.
is the-
Yeah, exactly.
Very much. You know.
Yeah, because
Violence
it's this
through the
Wall
pen.
Street
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of.
High stakes trading, business mergers, and that
Yeah.
type of thing.
So-
Yeah.
any other TV we got to mention?
Callum, did you want to go?
So as listeners might know, occasionally I mention the wrestling. AEW, the chief competitor to the worldwide famous WWE, has started a brand new show called AEW Saturday Night Collision or Saturday Collision, and the new logo is in the style of the old WCW Nitro, whatever
Yeah.
colors. It's like 80s kind of 80s 90s themed wrestling colors, and it looks, the new set, by the way, just as an aside, looks gorgeous. I think it looks fantastic. Their new production design for the new show. No, it's funny because a while ago now, like almost a year ago maybe, CM Punk got injured at a pay-per-view, and he had a huge falling out with some of the management of AEW, the Young Bucks, and the greatest wrestler of all time, Kenny Omega. And it ended up in an actual, allegedly a real life fight in the backstage area where someone got bit, someone got hit with a chair, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Did they
Someone
film
got
it?
punched. Pardon?
Did they film it?
No, this was like a real fight. behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
so what? They should have filmed it. See, Vince
it's
McMahon would
content.
have had that filmed.
Well, anyway, so what's
That's the
interesting?
difference. That's the difference between WWE. Vince McMahon's like, film that shit, put it on.
What's interesting is that CM Punk, of course, his contract would be worth millions because he's one of the most famous wrestlers. Anyway, he nearly got sacked, obviously, for attacking management, physically attacking management. Because he went after he got injured. He talked a whole bunch of stuff about on air, like in the
He talks smack.
Yeah, they have a press conference after pay-per-view, and he went up there and he said, "I'm
Some of
working."
his words were real raw. Sorry.
That's it. Yeah. It's in the business they call it a shoot.
We're making wrestling jokes here. Come, go straight over to
Yes, I
I
know.
should say he
raw,
talked
raw, raw.
smack
yeah.
down.
That's what I was going to say. It was a real
That's a Callum
smackdown
joke,
against
Alan.
management. But
He
anyway,
should have said he threw some smack down.
yeah, they
Talking
wrestled.
smack
They wrestled, and then
down.
there was Mania. That's right. Anyway, my point is, CM Punk disappeared for a long time, and then now they had a whole new show, and the rumor is all the wrestlers who want to work with CM Punk, you can wrestle on Collision. Everyone else who doesn't want to work with the guy who physically assaulted his co-workers can work on the other show, and there'll be some interplay.
That's
between.
an interesting way to handle it.
Yeah. Well,
You want to work with Ezra Miller? You go over here. You don't want, you go over here.
Allegedly.
sunken cost fallacy, I guess. But anyway, my point is, I've been watching the wrestling for a little while, and this new Collision is fantastic.
I think it does kind of work, that idea, though.
Well,
That-
they have
they've
the,
obviously-
got a
there's obviously
contract
paid
with
for him,
millions
yeah.
anyway, and you want that
Yeah.
extra hour of TV.
Yeah,
Like
you make use of the guy that you know.
that
paid
being
for
said,
already.
he
Yeah.
claims he was injured and it wasn't like a legal thing. He just couldn't wrestle because he tore something off the bone, a muscle off the bone or whatever.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, maybe he did. I don't know.
had to stop Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, kayfabe, man, kayfabe. That's it. Didn't stop Cody Rhodes. That's right. Anyway, my point is, the debut was last week, and it was phenomenal.
I remember it's been a long time since you've talked about wrestling, but I remember we talked about it on one episode where you're like, the AEW is kind of what wrestling used to be
That's right. Yeah.
in like the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
So it's like that's, whereas the WWE now is kind of just,
It's sanitized for the kids.
Well, so
Yeah,
it's funny because
very
WWE was doing really well under Triple H's management. I actually started watching it again when Triple H, or Paul Levesque, as his legal name is, not Hunter Hearst Helmsley, which is what the
is that what it stands for?
which is what the Triple H stands for. Under Paul Levesque's management, it was doing really well. They had some really interesting fights. Everything was looking great. The pay-per-views were fun. And then Vince McMahon came back with this awful mustache.
He looks like the yes guy from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Why do you talk like that?
I heard it's true.
Yeah, well, Vince McMahon returned and ruined everything, and now WWE sucks again.
Yeah, the fact that guy is still
Yeah,
we need a Succession spin-off,
Yeah.
and like the wrestling
That's
entertainment.
hilarious.
I never watched that. There was a show
It's
called
on Stan.
Heels.
Yeah, it's on Stan. I haven't watched it.
I never watched it. But
You
yeah, if they could like a Succession style show about the behind the scenes.
Yeah,
it'll
that'd be
happen when he
sick.
dies.
Also,
and
I'm
then
still mad that Glow got cancelled. Damn you, Netflix.
it'll happen when he finally
dies.
dies, and then Shane O'Mac legit gets nothing. Then Shane's gonna come out and like do the reveal of like this is what happened and shit, and this is why WWE is a terrible company.
But that's like a document. That
Yeah,
could be the Netflix documentary. But I'm
Well,
talking
then,
about like
yeah.
a fictionalized Succession,
Yeah.
where it's like Logan Roy's kind of like Murdoch, but he's not
Yeah.
really. So it's like
Yeah.
we need a guy.
He's
who's
kind of like Vince, but not
we need
really.
a great
Yeah.
actor like Brian Cox to play a sleazebag like Vince McMahon, but it's not really Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's about all I've got, to be honest, for that at least.
Alan, do you have any television?
Yes, The House of the Dragon, even though it's already
yes.
completed.
Yeah.
The first season. Look, they're trying to obviously ride on the coattails of, or the really like dirty, broken coattails of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Considering what happened with season 8, and like I think I'm about 4 episodes in. I can.
Oh, you still haven't finished
No,
it?
no. I can see kind of the story they're trying to tell, but like, is it actually really worth it?
So,
'Cause-
from what I understand, and this was a big problem with the Lord of the Rings show,
I forgot they made that.
exactly, which is hilarious because remember before it was coming out, we had this huge discussion. Oh my god, it's gonna be da, da, da. And then it came out, and I watched it, and I'm like, it's not that good. And you guys just forgot it existed, and I'm like, I don't blame you at all.
Remember when they made the Wheel of Time TV show?
Yeah, that's another example. But yeah, what was I saying?
House of Dragon.
Same problem I had with Game of Thrones or something similar.
Same as Rings.
Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings.
So
Lord of the Rings,
one of
yes.
the problems with the Rings of Power show is that it took like a few lines from the appendices from the end of Return of the King.
Hobbit movie style.
And tried
HBO essentially being like, how much more money can we bring from this franchise?
And tried to expand it into a show, but then they also took events that took place thousands of years apart in Tolkien's canon and just smooshed them into one season. And it's from what I understand, House of Dragon is based on a couple of passages within the Game of Thrones novels about the Targaryens' past.
Yes.
And if you have good writers and whatever, you can expand upon that and it'd be fine. But I haven't seen it, but it definitely, when they do that, it can sometimes feel like they're just milking the cash cow and just being like, what can we get out of one line in the book? How many seasons can we get
Yeah,
out of this?
because like, especially again, if it was just a single season, I'd also be like, okay, it was a small story,
Miniseries,
They've
yeah.
kind of kept it in that single season.
Well,
it's all good. It's slated for another season at least.
I heard. I mean, it's still early days,
Yeah.
and with the writer's strike, it'll probably be even pushed back further. And the shows take a long time to make, so it'll probably be a long time. But I heard they're only going to do 3 or 4 seasons altogether. They're not going to drag it out like Game of Thrones, even though the Game of Thrones could have went for 12 seasons. But we talked about this before, where one of the reasons I'm not watching House of Dragon is because I don't believe in rewarding bad behavior.
No, I didn't finish
And
Game of Thrones, and I have no interest in.
Game of Thrones was the end of that was so bad that I refused to just bow down, bend the knee, and watch House of Dragon. But I do want to watch it, but I think I will wait until it's either crashes and burns or it finishes and people say, hey, that was pretty good.
Learn the lessons.
Yeah.
because
yeah.
for me, I already invested at least a few episodes into it, and it's not terrible enough for me to be like, all right, I quit. But it's also not good enough to be like, man, I want to really see the end of this.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just stuck
Well,
in that weird,
you're halfway through.
yeah, I'm stuck in a weird limbo with it. It's just because
From is too good for him to dedicate his
Yeah.
time to.
like
Yeah, you
there's
got
the
other
stuff like From.
priorities.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
other shows I could be watching. Like you guys are always suggesting stuff, and I'm like, I have to put that on a list, and I always
Yeah.
have to prioritize, and that's one of those issues. Is do I keep this going? Do I let it go? There's clearly not enough characters or kind of everything around it or meat, I guess, on the bones of this to have a full-fledged, I think, 4-season story.
Which is weird because, Game of Thrones had so much they could have done, and then they just tried to rush it and finish it as quickly as possible. And I feel like House of Dragon could, like, that world is very rich.
Yes.
Same with Tolkien's Middle Earth. And Star Wars, like, you can do so many different things, but they always screw it up.
Yeah. And
they're always very close-minded. It's always that guy's related to that guy, and
I mean, there might
let's see this, but again, it's
maybe
the same
there's
thing.
some correlation here between obviously the writers are on strike, and maybe conditions aren't what they should be.
No, but House of Dragon came out well before the strike.
No, but conditions obviously were bad enough for them to strike. I feel like
No, but I don't think they were writing the show being like, I'm going to deliberately half-ass
No, that's
this.
not what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, they're having trouble writing good shows at the moment because of how standards are maybe in the industry, with like all the different writers' rooms and like all the different kind of problems they're having just generally with, we'll say, writing team in these kind of studios.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we don't know the cause and why the writing's so shit. It might just be they're just uninspired.
Well,
Or it could be symptomatic of a larger problem.
It's definitely a larger problem. It's that franchisee problem we always talk about, where it's just like Amazon made Rings of Power not because they had someone who was passionate about making a Lord of the Rings property, but because they had the rights and they had to churn something out. Yeah. Just like they announced all those Lord of the Rings video games, just like they're doing all they announced all the Game of Thrones spin-offs. So far, only one's come out.
It's because old man R.R. Martin is like, oh, you're gonna write me a check, or I'll sign on to this.
Dude,
I'd like.
Did you see
God, this? Because at this point, I've invested enough time. I've read all or listened to all the books, right? Okay. And I'm like, you owe us this book, you old fart. Just write the damn book, right? It's been like 8 years overdue. And I'm like, and there's another book after this. And he's like, you know what? I'll go run on this show and this other show and this other book.
Have you seen?
I'm like, just write the damn book.
Have you seen someone posted a photo of George R. R. Martin at the writer's strike, and someone's like, George R. R. Martin at the writer's strike? That's rich. Yeah. Like, what's he striking? He's not writing.
Yeah, he was the one that was originally on strike. He's been on strike since 2014 or something.
I remember we talked about this before, when we got out of lockdown or something. It was during COVID, and George R. R. Martin was like, I'm coming to New Zealand for the Comic-Con there. If I get there and I haven't finished the novel, you can lock me in.
I'll lock you in
until I finish it. And then we went into lockdown. The whole world was in lockdown.
Yeah, why
and
didn't
he still didn't finish
He
it.
couldn't leave the house. What was he doing? Counting his money.
And figuring out another Duncan Egg novella or something. Or something else. He's like, I can sell this to HBO. I can sell this. I'm like, you already have enough money. They know what to do with. Write the damn book or give it to somebody else.
He keeps talking about all the spin-offs he's talking with HBO about. I'm like, spin-offs? You haven't even fished the main story.
Finish their main story, please. If anyone genuinely believes that he'll ever produce that other book, The Dream of Spring,
the dude's getting old. It's a worry.
Yeah.
It's not even just about that. It's just the fact that what he's done with this book. There's no way in hell he'd ever write A Dream of Spring.
It's gotten out. We talked about it one. I think it's gotten out of his hands. He doesn't know what to do.
We just need to pray to some kind of eldritch god and sacrifice a
him.
goat or something.
I can't write one word, but I can't. Blame
Also,
him.
it's not your day job.
I also don't tell people. Oh, don't worry, I'm working on it.
Oh That's my god! Look, we'll be right back after this quick break. You're back on the Tuesday review. We getting a bit loose and mad in the studio this evening.
Anything goes during the breaks.
No, even before the breaks, I was having a meltdown. All right,
I just want damn books to be
done. He's justified. That's a justified.
It is justified anger.
That's right.
Somebody else just write the books. We get all the fanfic people together into a big convention and have somebody pick out the best pieces and finish the books.
One of those history of Westeros or whatever books was written by fans. George R. R. Martin was so impressed by these fans, they had a website or something, that he's like, can you help me write a history of. I'm just we talked about it, Callum and I, with Robert Jordan passed away before he finished Wheel of Time, and Brandon Sanderson took over. And we're just George R. R. Martin, it's okay to ask for help, buddy. No one's going to think less of you.
Ghostwriting's a very important industry.
No one's going to think you're a bad writer because you needed a little help in finishing.
Tom Clancy made his bones off ghostwriting.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was going to say.
James Patterson doesn't even exist. He's not a real person.
No, that's what
I don't know. He probably is, but he doesn't write anything.
A lot of these famous authors come up with plot points and character design.
Tom Clancy's stories. Doesn't Bryce?
Dead. Yeah, he said. Doesn't Bryce Courtney is one of those guys?
I don't think Bryce Courtney was.
Sorry, Bryce. Sorry,
you know what people
Bryce,
think less of you for? It's when you keep taking HBO money and you don't write the damn book.
I mean, but that's the thing though. There are people whose full-time job it is to come up with stories and hand it to anonymous ghostwriters.
Not anymore with AI.
Yeah.
This is why we're on strike.
Are you listening?
That's
George
it.
R. Martin should
That's
just
it.
fit into
Let's
AI.
go to ChatGPT and run our own Game of Thrones.
George R.
finish it.
Martin's just mysteriously finishes the book really quickly,
Train-
and you start reading it, and you're like, it's just the same thing repeating.
Just train ChatGPT onto all these books, and it'll be like, here's what happens next.
Yeah, what happens now? Yeah. Are we got any other TV we want to discuss?
Alan, have you finished TV?
Yes, that's it for
Okay.
me.
Well, Succession was my big one. That was like, now that Succession's finished, the season 4 was the last season, so that's the best show on TV is finished. Barry season 4 was the last season, so now that show's finished, and that was really good.
Damn, HBO's ending all its shows.
Yeah, and I watched that, and that was great. Ted Lasso season 3, I watched that. That's the final season as well, so that's finished.
Damn.
So all the best shows are finishing. I also heard that Mrs. Maisel is finishing on Amazon. I still haven't started watching that, but I heard it's a good show.
Dad liked it. He really enjoyed the first couple of seasons, and then it starts to drop off a bit, according to him.
Yeah, but I mean, that final season came out as well. So I'm like, there are all these great shows ending, and now we've got the writer's strike, so we have to wait for other good shows to,
Looking up to the sky for Severance.
pray for Severance. The only other...
Nathan Fuse. Oh, no, sorry.
The Rehearsal,
The
season
Rehearsal
2.
will be
Yes.
coming out at some
Fill
point.
the gap.
Happy Father's Day, American boys.
It's getting a season 2, I don't know. That show, oh my god.
No, I'm not going to say. We'll talk about it another time. The only other show I watched was the new season of Black Mirror on Netflix. Couple of duds, but mostly pretty good. Not as good as the previous seasons, but it's
Not
worth
bad,
watching.
yeah.
And it's an anthology show, so they
You
can
don't
always
just pick
recover.
up, yeah.
And you can always like skip an episode or whatever. But yeah, no, still good.
All right. Moving on to video games. In the studio, I have my ROG Ally. Look, I've wanted a Steam Deck for a while for indie games and emulation, mostly, but they don't sell the Steam Decks in Australia. So the only competitor, of course, the only sort of other option we have is a new piece of hardware called the ROG Ally, Asus's Steam Deck alternative, which they're selling.
Steam Deck is like a little mini handheld computer. You can play pretty much any game.
The
any
Steam
PC
Deck
game.
obviously runs kind of the Steam front end. It's very just a self-contained, nice little device. Whereas the ROG Ally is a mobile computer, essentially. It's a handheld computer built specifically to run video games.
This might be stupid. Would it be fair to say if the Steam Deck is the iPhone, then the ROG Ally is the Android?
That's reasonable.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
you know
like
what I'm saying.
Steam is very much, it's Linux. You can dual boot it into Windows, but obviously the drivers are tailor built for the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So it's like you have the best time with the Steam Deck, just not kind of fiddling.
Yeah.
But this is a Windows machine with all the pros and cons.
The ROG
that come with
Ally is more,
Windows. It's a custom OS essentially.
Customizable, yeah.
The Steam is more, it's a custom OS. This is more just, it's Windows, go for your life. Which obviously
basically
has,
anything you can do on a computer, you can more.
Well,
which has pros and negatives.
Nathan was showing it to me before the show, and I said it's basically like a little handheld laptop.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Like,
it is,
like imagine a Nintendo Switch, but it was just a laptop. Like you can do
Yes.
anything you can on a computer, but you
Which-
can carry it around.
Obviously, it has bloatware and all the other kind of negatives that a Windows... Like, Windows is not built for a little handheld device. So there are negatives in kind of the software aspect of it, but it works well in function. Obviously, the only problem is with such a small device, the battery life is terrible. And the Steam Deck's had this problem at launch. They recovered through software updates and kind of better like memory management, all that kind of stuff later on. But, you know, this thing's only been out a week. So there's a lot
Still
of
early
updates
days,
to come.
yeah.
Still early days, teething issues. But the battery probably, if you're playing it's labeled as you can play any game you want on it. All the new games will play. But if you're playing on battery, you probably won't get more than an hour. Having said that, you can bypass the battery if it's plugged in, and you can play all day as long as it's connected.
It's got a USB-C charger.
It's got a USB-C charger. It has bypass for the power, and if you connect it to your TV, you can get an extra performance boost. So the handheld has different profile modes. So like 10 watt, 15 watt, 25 watt, 30 watt, and I think it goes up to something like 40 watts if you have plug it into a TV. That requires you to be docked appropriately. Yeah. Which I don't have yet access to at the moment. But you boys had a little play with it before Alan's leaving to go on to the next show. We'll catch you later, Alan.
Got to talk about Aussie cars, mate.
Oh, He's setting up the next show, but that's okay. Yeah. It is, we're out live. He'll be back.
Talk about Bogan mobiles.
Yeah, that's it. But for me, my own personal use case, really, at the moment, I'm sure I'll get games that I want to play on it, but it's just been emulation. Playing a lot of older games that I didn't get a chance to play, or playing favorite games.
It's a good thing to play around with.
Yeah.
Until you kind of be, this is the new, until Starfield comes out. And you're like, this is my main
I'm sure
game.
I won't be able to play Starfield on this, but I can play it through cloud streaming, which would be hopefully good enough.
So you can, it doesn't matter where you are.
It comes with Games Pass, and it has
has
kind of cool Game Pass integration. So you can download all the Game Pass games and play it on there, which is really nice, and it works really well. The screen is lovely. The speakers
screen
are
looks
good.
Sound, the sound was really good. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised by how good the Switch's sound was when it first came out.
Yeah.
But I think this is even better.
It is.
I mean, it's a bit chonkier, but... So,
it's pissy.
Yeah. No, but like obviously, if it's the bigger, the better the speakers.
But so James and Callum have had to play with it. And specifically, emulation is kind of what we would use it for in the studio.
Yeah.
Playing games that like we have as kids and we enjoy as kids, and N64, GameCube, PS1, PSP, even. RetroArch runs flawlessly on this device.
Stuff that's hard to find, hard to play, hard to get running,
or even like consoles we
stuff
had
that's
as kids,
expensive.
the discs are all scratched, they no longer work. It's just a good time for that. Like, I haven't had any problems with emulation. It looks really nice, it runs really nice. People might say what a waste of money for emulation, but for me,
but like I said, that's just a good base for it. And then like I said, you can add what you want on, and also
I would have
what's wrong with a good emulation?
That's it. I mean, it's like, I know
That's
people say you can get Raspberry
for.
Pi and you can do all this and you play it on your phone. I don't want to play emulated games on my phone.
No.
I'd rather play it on this.
Yeah.
Having said all that, I would have shown you boys more of what it can do, but the internet in the studio and just the area in general has been a bit spotty, so I haven't been able to log on to all the different accounts that I have on here.
Oh, so you've only had it a week. I'm sure we can.
Next
talk
time
about
we
it
hang out,
time.
we'll plug it into the charger and we'll see
I want to
how
see
much
docs.
it can handle.
I want to see. Oh, you don't have the dock yet.
I haven't the dock yet, but we'll take it through its paces.
Yeah.
I had James is a fan of No Man's Sky, and
I played it once briefly.
He played it once briefly. Okay. But I'll download some games the boys know. We can so they have a bit of a frame of reference.
Yeah.
And we can sort of play it through. I should put Pentiment on here and some other stuff like that you've played.
But Pentiment's not graphically.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm like, but what do I download to kind of everyone has a frame of reference that they can see how it plays.
But it doesn't matter frame of reference because you showed me that horror game that I wasn't familiar with, but it had good kind of photorealistic graphics and it was running very well and it looked really nice.
Look, as far as I'm very happy with it, it's good that Australia has at least a Steam Deck competitor because we're a market that quite often just gets left behind.
Yeah, the fact that we still don't have Steam Deck is kind of crazy, and
it's been out for like nearly 2 years.
And I guess by the time it comes here, it'll be
old.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I wanted a Steam Deck, I might as well wait for the Steam Deck 2, at this point. Yeah. But this is good enough for me. Like, even taking everything else aside, if it was just like came with RetroArch and that's it, I'd still be happy. RetroArch is an emulation front end for listeners who don't know, where you can
play old
kind
games.
of, you put your own games on there and you can play your older games through like that custom built software. Which for this it works really well.
Yeah.
Very good.
Callum, what games have you been playing lately? I know the answer.
So I've got two little entries here. So I mentioned before that I haven't really been watching any movies. I'm going to own up to something. On my behalf and Nathan's, I guess.
My name is Callum, and I'm an addict.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So one day I was sitting at home. So there's a game called The Elder Scrolls Online. Mm-hmm. Fantastic online game. Really great. It's essentially The Elder Scrolls 6 before The Elder Scrolls 6 is a thing. So you can play the entire game single player.
It's an MMORPG?
Correct. But you can play the
with an asterisk.
Yeah. So you can play the entire game on your own. You don't need anyone's help to complete any of the story content, full stop. Every time a new expansion comes out, which is an addition to the game, it can be played on its own, self-contained.
They're all modular, self-contained.
So when you create a brand new
you don't have to buy every iteration.
Fun fact though, a new expansion released today, for example, called Necrom. Now this expansion, let's just say you, James, decide to start playing this game. It's expansion day. In other games like EverQuest or World of Warcraft, when you play this new expansion, you have to be what they call endgame or whatever. Like, you'd have to have a level 70 guy to go to the new area and do the new content. With Elder Scrolls, it's called a chapter. and you can just make a brand new guy and start in the new chapter at level 1.
That's cool.
And it all scales. So no matter where you go, it's appropriate for you to be there.
Okay.
So you can decide you want to go to the 3rd chapter, which is self-contained, and fight the enemies there or whatever. So you can go wherever you want. There's a sense of freedom to it that I like. Anyway, I played it on PC, sunk a bunch of hours into it, loved it. So I've got a nice chair at home. I've got a recliner. You know, I've got a TV that was probably too big for me, but I love dearly now, and I've got a soundbar. And I was like, I miss the Elder Scrolls Online. It's on Games Pass. So I'm like, because it's owned by Microsoft now because of the merger between Bethesda and Microsoft. So I'm like, I'm going to download it, whatever. I told Nathan. Nathan's like, yeah, maybe I'll give it a go. Boy, almost a mistake, but it feels so good to play it.
Because now you can't get off it.
Yeah, it's so fun.
To an extent, obviously we're playing it on the Xbox Series X, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, so on Xbox, it's 4K, and it's got HDR, and it's fantastic. The lighting effects that come through, like my PC would never dream about the effects that I get on my Xbox. So it's almost like discovering the game for the first time again as I'm playing it, and it's so much more immersive because I'm not hunched over my keyboard. I'm in my chair, relaxed with my headset on, talking to Nathan as we, adventure through this world. But like I said, every character that you can interact with is fully voice acted. It's immersive on Xbox. I'm playing it settled in. And honestly, like as problematic as it is, because I don't do anything else other than play Elder Scrolls and No Man's Sky. I started playing No Man's Sky as like my
two massive games that
but see, No Man's Sky is an interesting one because it's procedurally generated and it's just this I play on
it's more. That's why I originally
play on
custom.
I have custom settings, so I play on. I can't really die. So all I do is investigate the alien cultures and just relax. But my main game is Elder Scrolls. And like I said, it's such a it feels like a living, breathing world. So like when every NPC you talk to is voiced, there's interesting things going on around you. You can have these AI companions you can have with you, and they have their own personality, their own likes and dislikes. Like if if you have like the wrong ally, for example, if you steal something, they'll be like, hey, don't do that. Or if you cook up a dish or whatever, they'll be like, nice job. But anyway, my point is, it's a living, breathing world, and I'm really into it. I'm there for it.
The main thing is like I'm also playing it with Callum. Obviously, we're playing the story together and whatnot. I'm not really much of an online game guy anymore. Obviously, I used to be.
Me neither. I don't have time anymore.
Technically, this is an MMO, right? You can play with other people. You can do the raids. You can do whatever else. But the way I play this game, it's almost like a single player experience. It's a co-op experience. It's just me and Cal doing the story. Everything's voiced. Everything's voiced.
Take your time. Anyway, I thought I mentioned that game because it's just a joy to see because it's like a lovingly crafted fantasy world, and they like no expense. What's the phrase?
Spared no expense.
Yeah, because it's like every little there's books in the world. Like you've played Skyrim, right?
I've never actually played it.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I know, but I know. I know.
It's like you pick up books and there's like a consistent lore throughout the whole game, and you get recurring cast of characters. They'll have personalities. You get to grow to like them. You know what I mean? It's this beautiful, well-crafted world. And apparently it's still in gangbusters. It's doing really well. Like me and Nathan will be mine.
Well,
so
I mean, so the current boss of Xbox,
Phil Spencer,
he loves this game quite a lot.
Yeah.
So as soon as they bought Bethesda, he's like straight onto Games Pass. Members get perks in the game.
Yeah, like, the Xbox perks.
He pushes it real hard.
Yeah.
And every now and again, he'll go on Twitter and he'll be like, "Can someone help me with this?"
Yeah, he actually plays the games that he's selling. Yeah.
It's funny.
So obviously, when you got someone in charge who actually loves the product, then the product will do well.
Yeah,
that's why we always jerk off Microsoft because we're like, oh, they're actually doing stuff.
We got a free horsey for Elder Scrolls Online for the perks.
But it's like you can tell the people that are making the game, the community loves it.
It's funny. So we were playing and we went into one of the biggest cities in the game, a place called Daggerfall, which is one of the big cities. And you're walking through and there's voice chat in the game. So we're just minding our own business walking through the town and there's just people having a conversation in the town square. Like through voice, and you can hear them, and they're just talking about their day and stuff. Because there's no text chat's hard because it's a console. So there's just dudes be like, "Oh yeah, hey, what's up, man?"
And
you know what?
But they used to do that in like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but not with voice.
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't do voice?
Voice is a different experience. It's weirder in voice.
Like
when you're walking past the guy and he's like, "Oi," you're like, "Hey, what?"
No. Like I said, there were two guys just like, "What's up, man?" And it's like, "Oh, I didn't see you the other day." I'm like, it's kind of, like I said, it's like a living world. It's
Yeah.
so weird but kind of wholesome.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any trolling yet, but I'm sure it's there.
Oh, there's.
Oh, I'm sure it's extra toxic too.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to.
You guys should really watch that show on Apple, the
Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty funny.
I just wanted to jerk that game off for a while.
Yeah.
I'm done.
What about you, James? You got any games?
Well, after I finished Metroid Prime Remastered, which I finished a little while ago now, and that was really good. And then I didn't really play anything because I hadn't had time. But then when the new Amnesia game came out, Amnesia the
that's
Bunker.
on Game Pass. Is it on? Did you play it through Game Pass?
No, I bought it because it wasn't that expensive, and
Yeah.
also I want to support it. Like, I'm a big fan of the franchise. So
Too
yeah.
scary for me.
Oh, it's probably the best one since the first game. And I really like how they've kept the kind of core features and feeling of the first game and of the series, but also added this kind of survival horror, Resident Evil style.
Have you played Outlast?
No, but I played it once briefly, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Oof. I finished. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how
You played
I
Outlast and you can't play Amnesia.
No.
I played through Outlast the first one once.
Yeah.
Never again. You're like, never again.
No, I don't know how I got through it. I tried to play the expansion not that long ago, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I'm not built for this.
You know what? So
I'm not even going to bother with Amnesia.
Amnesia's so stressful.
when I was a younger man, I played a 360 game called Condemned Criminal Origins.
Oh, I love that game.
And that's still left scars on me.
I remember you played it first and told me how scary it was, and then I like messaged, because this was like high school, and I messaged you on like MSN Messenger or whatever we used to use, and was like, oh hey man, this guy's selling it on eBay for however much money. It wasn't much. I'm like, should I get it? And you were like, yeah, and I bought it, and it became one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
And I played the second. Did you ever play the second one?
No, but I just remember looking in the mirror and then turning around, and I was like,
oh, it's
you know the
terrifying.
scene
the
from-
mannequins.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
you know the scene from that David Lynch film.
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive, yeah, that was like
lady
me when I
behind the-
that was like me when I turned around. The guy's like, oh,
That was awesome. Yeah, but Amnesia the Bunker was really good. It's still an indie game, so it's like a bit smaller than I would have liked it to be. But I hope this one does well enough that they can, because this is a really good direction for the
my
franchise.
Games Pass would have said,
Yeah,
Give
but
them
this
some
is a
back.
really good direction. So if they can do another one, keeping in this kind of
Yeah.
vein, where they have the sort of classic Amnesia sort of things, but then also this kind of Resident Evil like resource management and
Yeah.
all that, and it's always fun to move around your inventory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to what they do next. I haven't had time to play any more games. Alan Wake 2 comes out in October, which I'm really, really, really looking forward to.
You know, they're describing it
So-
as their first survival horror game.
Yeah.
Which, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm thinking it's June now, July, August, September, October. So I got 4 months. I can replay Alan Wake 1 and replay Control, which has an Alan Wake connection, and hopefully by October I can go straight into Alan Wake 2.
Horror month.
Yeah,
Oh my God, yeah.
Spooktober.
Nice Spooktober video game.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I'll have time to play. That's why I'm thinking of starting early now, so that because I only have time to play like an hour a week.
I did play through the Alan Wake remake when it came out.
The remaster. Yeah.
And then I played through the like the spin-off, the
DLC.
Yeah, the
American Nightmare.
American Nightmare. Yeah. I might have to replay that too. Yeah, it's not that good. It also leaves it sort of where it's just like,
at the end of it, it's like, kind of, what was the point?
Yeah, it's just because they can't.
Yeah, it was still worth doing. It was still worth playing.
It's fun. Yeah,
it's fun. But
nothing
beats
it's
that's going to be an exciting time.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. There's so many games out there that I just don't have time to play, but I'm going to prioritize.
Yeah, I've joined that club myself now.
Yeah. All right. I reckon that's all the time we've got for tonight,
Yeah,
boys.
we're out of time.
Been a good one. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please like and share the Tuesday Review, Facebook, the Instagram, and I still have the Twitter.
Unfortunately, the Twitter. Don't use it.
Wade in the waters with me.
If you can help it, don't use it. But it's still there for now until we can get an alternative. Instagram is our main place if you want to follow us there.
At Tuesday Review AU.
Yes.
We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.